I am not one of those toppers or someone with a really good academics. I have always been just above average, but whatever I do, whatever I work on, I have been able to do it with focus and achieve some success in that specific field. I like traveling, I like filmmaking, I like staying fit, and I always work towards getting the best output of myself because I believe in the concept of doing more. I am not very different from anyone who is watching this, but I think I have made some right decisions in life which has got me here today speaking in front of all of you. For the last 5 years, I have been able to pursue my passion along with doing a full time job. This is my first time on this platform, and I would like to thank all the organizers for having me here. I'm a storyteller and I like sharing stories. So today I'm going to share my story with all of you. And in that process, if I'm able to awaken that warrior instinct in few of you to pursue your dreams, to follow your passion, or to do more in life, I will call it a success. With that, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Nishit Sharma. I'm a travel filmmaker. I work full time in digital marketing for one of the leading marketing agencies in Spain. I have an online store where I sell my digital products, and I also work as a filmmaker, like a freelance filmmaker for few of the filmmaking projects. I have a YouTube channel with over 220,000 subscribers. I have worked with many big brands like Samsung, Amazon Prime, MTV. I have been featured on many big platforms like CNN, CNBC, Incredible India, and I've also worked with many tourism boards. Now, whatever I'm doing currently are the things that I've not learned in school or in college. These are the things that I've learned by myself over a period of time by doing a lot of experiments, by doing a lot of research, and it has been a long journey. And in this whole process, I have figured out that there are certain lessons that I've learned in this whole journey, and I'm going to share those lessons with all of you today. Always make time for what you love. I grew up in a middle class family with my parents having similar sort of expectations which any other Indian parents would have from their kids, which is seeing their kid as a successful engineer or a doctor, basically getting a degree from a good college, getting a good job, getting a good salary, and then eventually settling in. So, in order to pursue the dreams of my parents, I moved to Kota in ninth grade. Moving to Kota was a very new experience for me because this was the first time I was going to live away from my parents on my own. Now, preparing for JEE is a very hectic task because it is one of the most difficult competitive exams in India because there are so many people who appear for that exam and there are very few who get through. So even though it was a hectic task, but I used to make sure that I take out some time for myself, doing things that I love. I had an Activa back then, so I often used to go on drives in and around Kota, exploring the nearby places. And this was also the time when I was making a lot of new friends from different parts of country. Because Kota is one place which is like a hub where people from across country come to prepare for different competitive exams. So I made friends with people from Assam. I made friends with people from Kashmir, people from Karnataka. And whenever I used to meet them, I used to ask them about their place. And that's how I got exposure to a lot of new places, a lot of new cultures, which got me curious in the concept of traveling. I somehow managed to get a decent rank in JEE and I got admitted in the Department of Biotechnology in IIT Guwahati. Moving to Guwahati was a very big step in my life, and things started changing for me as I took this decision. I was never serious about studies, and my grades speak that out loud. I never really flunked in any subject, but I graduated with a GPA of 6.2, which is not that great, but yeah, this is what I graduated with. But I was always very much interested in the cultural festival of my college, and I took that very seriously. I used to love marketing the festival. I used to love talking to the sponsors, getting more sponsorship for the fest. I used to love talking to different marketing professionals in the big corporate companies. I used to love preparing those pitch decks, those presentations. and then presenting it in front of people. So that is something I really used to enjoy, and I was always keen on learning more in that direction. Now, working for my cultural festival also gave me an opportunity to travel often. Like I used to travel to different places near Guwahati, marketing the festival, or letting more colleges know about the festival. So that gave me a lot of opportunities to travel nearby. Northeast is one of my favorite places to visit in India, and Guwahati is like a gateway for visiting to all those beautiful places in Northeast India. So I made sure that I use all the long weekends that I get in the college, and I used to take long trips with my friends. Like I visited Sikkim, I visited Nagaland, I visited Arunachal Pradesh. I visited to a lot of places nearby. In fact, I remember I used to visit Shillong once every month because it was just 150 kilometers drive from my college. So I would often like take bike from my seniors or my batchmate, and yeah, I would just drive down to Shillong, and it was really fun. Now, whenever I used to go on this trip, I used to come back with a lot of stories. I remember I didn't had a good quality camera back then, but I used to click a lot of pictures from my phone, and I used to use these pictures to share my stories with my friends. Like I would use those pictures as a reference while I'm sharing the stories from the trip. Now, taking these trips made me more confident about the fact that I really enjoy traveling, and this is something that I want to do in my life. But at that time, I could just dream of doing it full time, or just traveling and doing it as a job. So, all of this was happening, and then came the time of placement. So there is one thing about IIT. All the companies who come for recruitment, they definitely give a look at your GPA, but they also look at whatever you have done in college in those 4 years or 5 years of your time. I was very much involved in marketing, so I managed to secure a job in digital marketing for one of the agencies in Pune. And I moved to Pune, and this is where my career began. I was working for a company which was still in their initial stages, and it was more of like a startup. So there was a lot of work which was supposed to be done. And so I used to work really hard when I just joined the company. And at the same time, there was a lot of learning as well. So I used to have a very busy schedule at that time. But even in that busy schedule, I made sure that whenever I take leave close to the long weekends so that I can extend my long weekend and I can take longer trips with my friends. So I used to travel at that time as well. I visited all the places near Pune. I went for many hikes, like there are many good treks near Pune. I went to many forts near Pune, and it was all so much fun. So I was traveling a lot, but at the same time, I was also working hard at my job. And soon my work got recognized, and I got placed in one of our clients back then, which is Flipkart. So I moved to Bangalore, and Bangalore was a totally new chapter for me. Now, this brings to my next lesson in life, which is get inspired. Now, Bangalore was a totally new place for me. It was all a different vibe. There was a different culture. I found people over here very laid back, very supportive. I saw a lot of entrepreneurs over here running their own business, even in my circle, because I had a lot of friends from IIT Guwahati who were working in Bangalore. So I met them. I saw a lot of them doing a full time job, and along with them running their own business or trying to shape it up in a certain manner. I saw a lot of people doing freelance job as freelancers. Like they would not go and do desk jobs, but they would do remote job. Like they can work from anywhere. So I really liked that whole concept, and I was still getting into the zone of like starting up my own business. I was working with Flipkart, and Flipkart is a very big organization. So obviously the workload I had in Flipkart was very less than what I used to have in my previous company. So I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos at that time, specifically from this guy called as Casey Neistat. He's also like a travel filmmaker, and I really used to connect with the way he used to share his story in form of those 5 to 10 minutes long small videos on YouTube. And every time after watching that video, I would always end up saying that yes, this is something I want to do in life. That got me so much inspired, and this is something I really wanted to do. So I started doing my own research. I started doing more research around YouTube, around cinematography, how to make a video, because these were the things that I had never done in my life. In fact, I didn't even had a good camera at all in my life. I was just using my phone camera, which was the main camera for me. So it is very important to take inspiration in life, because that is something which motivates you to eventually take actions in order to achieve your goals. Now, this brings me to the next lesson, which is start with whatever you have available with you. I remember it was like about 8 to 10 months I was working in Flipkart. I was earning enough, but not that much. And this was the first time I gifted myself something which was not necessary. And that was GoPro Hero 4 Black. This was my first camera. It is a very small camera, and if I compare it with the cameras that I've been using currently, so I would say that it is a very low quality camera. But I was really excited to get one for myself. And I remember the day I got my GoPro, the very same weekend I traveled to Pondicherry and filmed a video over there with literally no sense in mind in terms of what am I going to film, what am I going to do. I just had a camera with me, and I knew that I had an inspiration from Casey Neistat, and I just wanted to make something similar, because I think that's how you usually start in any of the field which you are not aware of. Now, this brings me to the next lesson, which is invest time in learning new skills. When I had just started off, I used to struggle a lot with the different camera settings, because I had no idea about filmmaking, I had no idea about cameras. So I would often struggle with setting the right exposure or framing the shot perfectly, or basically the basics of filmmaking, which is something I was lacking at. So I did a lot of research on YouTube. I used to watch a lot of tutorials. I used to talk to people who would know a little bit about this whole field. I was doing all the research on my own, because this is something I love doing. This is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I was very keen on learning. If you are getting into a new field, it is very important to do your research. It is very important to invest time in learning those skills. It is very important to learn the basics, because that's when you move up the ladder. Now, this brings me to the next learning in my life, which is self aware. Self awareness is the key to self mastery. It won't really stop you from making mistakes, but it will help you learn from them and become better at it. I remember when I had just started off, I used to take a lot of feedback from my friends, from my colleagues, from my office people. I used to all of that, because I think that is one thing which really helps you grow in a specific field. And with every video, I started criticizing my video quite a lot, and eventually I became better with time, because I would spot a couple of mistakes in one of my videos and I would try to fix them in the next one. And I think that's how I grew, and that's how I learned this whole skill of filmmaking and video production. So it is very important to be self aware. It is very important to take constructive feedback. And it is very important to act on things that you feel it is required to become better at your skill. This brings me to the next learning, which is persistence is the key. Things are not going to be smooth and easy. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be many ups and downs in your journey, and you will have to work hard and stay persistent in order to achieve your goals. I crashed my very first drone within 10 days of getting that. And I had a trip planned to Sikkim just 20 days after the day when I crashed my drone. At that time, it was very difficult to get yourself a drone, because it was totally illegal in India. So not many people would sell it in India. So you had to get it from US. And I was obviously not making that much of money at that time, as I had just started. And Sikkim was one series I was really looking forward to, because this was the first time I was going to film a story based series. So I really wanted a drone, and I was running low on cash. So I literally maxed out my credit card, and I started finding people who were coming from US or from other place outside India where they can buy drone for me. And I eventually found somebody from my college who was coming from US to India, and then he got a drone for me. So within, I think like within a week time, I managed to get a new drone for me. And then I visited Sikkim. I filmed the web series. I uploaded on my channel, and that is now one of the most watched web series on Sikkim live on YouTube. And this was one of the series which gave a boost to my YouTube channel. Like, this was a series from where my YouTube channel actually started. And this web series also landed me my first sponsor. Like, I had only like 3,000 subscribers at that time, but I was very specific about the quality of videos that I'm producing. So there is this company who sponsored my whole trip to Ladakh, and at that time I was like, okay, I don't know if that also something which happens, but I was really happy that I got my first sponsor sponsoring the whole trip for me when I had just only 3,000 subscribers. So I had to make that tough call to get that drone by maxing out my credit card, but that eventually it fetched me good results. This brings me to my last learning, which is be patient and stay consistent. Now, in any field, it is very easy to get influence from what others are doing. Specifically, when you see that there is something which is easy to do and you see it working for somebody else, you get very much influence and you would want to do something similar. Get inspired, but don't get influenced, because this is not a race, this is a marathon. You have to be consistent. It's like a job. It's not like you will finish up all the day within a week for the whole month. You will have to show up at work every day in the month. So I would say, more than getting influence, it is very important to stay consistent and stay patient. Specifically, if I talk about in the field of content creation, so there is an audience for all sort of content. You just have to make sure that you keep doing what you love, because if you don't do what you love, you will never be able to do it for long. And like I said, it's a marathon. You have to be consistent. If you want to do it for a long time, you have to enjoy the process. You have to love what you are doing. So always stay focused. Always try to think of the reason why you started, and always try to stick with what you are doing and believe in yourself. So things are going to work out for you. You just need to be patient and stay consistent with whatever you are doing in life. With that, I would like to end this and I would open it for Q&A. I hope this would give motivation to few of you to pursue your dreams. And I would say, always believe in yourself. Always keep doing what you think you can do. Don't let yourself down with all the things that you hear near you, that you can't do this, you can't do that. You can do anything, you can do everything. It's just that you need to stay focused, you need to stay consistent, and you need to believe in yourself.